Hi, I'm Davy, and I'm awesome! And welcome to Davy's Awesome Movies, where I review the styles of movies I love, the alternative, B-rated, cult-style flicks. This week, it's another one of those flew under the radar, got insanely critically bashed, awesome comedies. This movie was made in 1998, and it was directed by Christopher Guest, and written by Mark Nutter, Tom Wolfe, and Boyd Hale, and produced by Denise DeNovi, made by Turner Pictures and DeNovi Pictures, and distributed by Warner Bros. Pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, Almost Heroes. The movie opens with a voice narrating about Lewis and Clark and their expedition through the Northwest all the way to the Pacific, but stating that there was a very unknown second team that also did the same exploration at the same time. So then we go to Arlington, Virginia, and we meet Bartholomew Hunt, played by the late oh-so-great Chris Farley. This was his last film. He's being led to the gallows. Was that really necessary? Poor guy's about to be hung.
Good God, lady.
She tried to give him a rape whistle.
We don't care if you get it.
And then we meet Leslie Edwards, who is trying to get to Arlington, where Hunt is about to be hung. And he's trying to get there as fast as he can.
As much haste as possible while maintaining a tolerable level of comfort. A man's life is at stake.
Edwards is played by Matthew Perry. Now as to why Hunt is about to be hung. Apparently he's a tracker employed by the U.S. Army, and he got drunk in front of an officer.
He forced that officer to waltz with him through a crowded mess hall.
Hang him high! Now does Hunt have any last words?
Kiss my hairy buttocks!
Close to the same last words as Gacy. But just after they kick the stool out...
I have a stay of execution signed by President Jefferson himself.
Just in time!
Thomas Jefferson!
Okay, dude, he's hanging.
Thank you.
Later, Edwards is telling Hunt about the expedition, and he needs a tracker to help him get to the Pacific. Hunt asks him why didn't he go try to get William Clark?
Don't you think I tried?
Well, that's flattering. Then at a dinner party, Leslie is bragging that he's not worried about the dangers that they may face. He's not worried about natives or bears or anything. Hunt, though, says he is worried about the natives and the bears. Especially the natives, because everybody knows that if they capture a white man, they will crack open his head, pick out his brains, and eat them!
With a crudely fashioned fork.
Of course, everybody wonders, has Hunt actually seen this?
I've seen the forks.
Later, Aaron Burr comes around to offer Hunt a taste of some fine whiskey.
How about you get your own bottle?
He takes more than a taste.
Oh! Whoa!
It's like watching my brother. The next morning, of course, Hunt has a hangover. Edwards, though, says he shouldn't have a hangover.
Considering the amount you regurgitated into the harpsichord.
Hunt is insulted and ready to leave. That is until Edwards offers him $100.
$150.
Deal!
I know it's hard to believe, but back then, that was a lot of money. Edwards is trying to talk to Hunt about their expedition, but Hunt is a little distracted by two pigs having sex. Even talks about a time that he paid to watch two pigs have sex. They were even dressed like the King and Queen of France.
Costumes. Legitimate theater.
Really? That's legitimate theater? Because every time I put a couple of hats on dogs next door and watch them do it, my neighbor tells me to get out of his yard. While they're loading the boats, a man named Jackson comes over and tells him that it's his wish to see the Pacific Ocean before he dies. He's an old man, and it's his dream, so he begs if he can go along. And Edwards, of course, says he can't deny him this. He may come along with them.
Help us load the boats.
Sorry, can't do. I'm an old man.
Then we meet their interpreter, Guy Fontenot, played by Eugene Levy. They tell him that he cannot bring his wife, but he corrects them that she's not his wife.
I buy her. She belonged to me as a property.
Is this woman anything like the woman my brother bought? They stand by it, though, that even though it's not his wife, she can't come.
They say you can't come.
They change their minds. But even though she's property to Fontenot, he is a jealous man, and he makes it very clear he doesn't want any man to even look at her. And if they do,
I will gut him like a pig.
like I said, he's the jealous type. While addressing the men about their exploration and how they're going to have to go up against the current of the Missouri River, they start talking about they'd rather go to New Orleans.
Well, the food alone is worth the trip.
But what sense does that make? They've already been to New Orleans. But Edwards tells him, you know what? If you would rather trade the greatness of being the first to get to the Pacific for a leisurely trip to New Orleans, then you just go ahead. Well, that backfired. So now the crew is a lot smaller. As they're rowing up the Missouri River, Hunt starts telling the men about the animals they may encounter.
Fearsome beasts of the mountains and plains.
Like a bear.
So powerful that it snapped a man's body in half.
Or a badger with huge paws.
Now that'd rip your face right off.
Or a hawk.
Plucked a man's eyeballs out of his sockets. Ow! Ah!
Good lord.
I think you're scaring the men.
But Hunt thinks it's a good thing for them to understand what they may encounter. Gives a man courage to know what he's up against. But then, they see an animal. Hunt finally gets them to cease fire.
It's only a squirrel. He's got something in his hand! Something in his hand!
The next day they encounter a native tribe. And funny enough, their interpreter Fontenot does not actually speak their language. But it's okay. They're a tribe that trades with Americans a lot, so they probably speak English. And they try to bring tidings of peace to the chief from President Jefferson.
The great chief of the whites.
Hunt thinks he must be insulted because they didn't introduce themselves first. So they do.
I am Bartholomew Hunt. And this here is Leslie Edwards. Oh,
Apparently that wasn't the problem.
forget this.
After a lot of back and forth slapping,
We come in peace!
but then some of the other natives come out.
I am Chief Two Roads.
Then who's the guy that's been doing all the slapping?
His name is Bentwig. He's not right in the head.
How so? I see. They all have a pleasant time with the Iowas, but then when they leave,
I had to give them a few of your finer things, of course, so they wouldn't kill us.
even though they were very friendly, Hunt says they were about to scoop everyone's brains out with a spoon.
You mean a fork?
That would depend on the tribe.
Shekinah, though, insists that the Iowas would never have hurt them.
I know that. I'm just not carrying that junk with us the whole trip.
Well, whatever works. That night, everyone is awakened by Bidwell, who is screaming, saying that Fontenot bit his ear off.
Well, that's an absurd exaggeration.
Apparently, Bidwell peeked inside Fontenot and Shekinah's tent and saw Shekinah's breasts. So Bidwell kind of deserved it. Pratt wants to do an experiment.
Bidwell, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Pratt.
Idiots. Hunt wants Edwards to teach him how to read, so Edwards goes about to teach him, starting with an uppercase A.
All right. Whoa.
And then a lowercase a.
Oh, God. Oh.
Now the B's.
Not the bees! Ah!
Do you want my head to explode?
If you really want his head to explode, show him this.
You put your pound down and thrust your pelvis. Thrust your pelvis. Thrust your pelvis.
Then another night, a bear comes into their camp. It wakes Hunt, and Hunt quietly wakes everyone else and tells them to be very quiet and very still, or the bear will attack. But Bidwell's nose itches.
You scratch your nose, you're dead.
But Bidwell can't decide which is worse, the bear or his itchy nose.
The berry's worse! The berry's definitely worse!
Duh!
So let that be a lesson, kids. If it comes down to a bear or an itchy nose, the bear is worse. The bear drags Bidwell off, And the next morning, Pratt is trying to get a hold of Bidwell through his ear. But it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work anyway. But even if it did, he couldn't talk through it.
But just then...
Help me!
Bidwell's okay. Sort of.
I suspect that now you'll want to lead a hunting party to slay the terrible beast.
But Edwards, to get out of it, tells Bidwell, don't worry. In about 20 years or so, old age will deal with that bear much more cruelly than they could ever have.
Revenge is sweet, sir.
Idiot. They reach the final settlement before heading into uncharted territory. As a nice gesture, Edwards is going to buy the men some beers.
Beers!
Except for Hunt, because of how he gets when he drinks.
And that's why I think you should go to the trading post for supplies now.
While the men are having their drinks, another man comes in and informs them that he runs a brothel. They all leave for the brothel, except for Fontenot, because he's got a woman, he doesn't need a brothel, and Edwards doesn't leave either because he made a promise to someone.
Yes, I promised my doctor I wouldn't engage in that sort of thing.
In the deleted scenes, we actually met Edwards' fiancée. She was played by Parker Posey. Among the supplies, Hunt also wants a haircut and a shave. Until the store owner informs Hunt that he smells really, really bad.
Maybe I'll have a bath too then.
The men meet the women.
Did I not tell you they were beautiful?
Yes, they meet Josh's girlfriend's great-grandparents. But the fact that they're not real women does not deter them. Josh. After Hunt's bath...
Some of them, flies were there before I got in.
Ew.
At the tavern, someone comes rushing in, panicking, because a conquistador named Hidalgo is coming.
Just half a dozen. But they're headed this way!
Okay, but Buster Scruggs, the real important thing here is that you do not panic. And now, Hidalgo, played by Kevin Dunn. A conquistador who is really obsessed with his own hair.
It's long and soft and shines with the light that comes from within.
It's okay. Hunt is happy with his haircut and shave.
Thank you, sir. I strive for excellence in all my various trades.
As do I. But now Hunt also needs a dentist.
For I have practiced dentistry on the animals I preserved.
Well, that's not freaky. Hidalgo notices Shakina, and he goes over and offers Fontenot to join them so they can share her. But Fontenot asks, what if he doesn't want to join?
And then we tear out your heart, cut off your limbs, and skin you alive.
He joins. Over to Hunt and his dentist. Dentistry has sure come a long way. Well, the tooth is out. Edwards is trying to stop them from taking Shakina. Just then Hunt comes in, and he challenges Hidalgo and all of his men to a duel. His weapon of choice?
Drink.
Yeah, he challenges them to a drinking contest. So how does it end up? Hunt has won. But outside, the brothel is on fire.
She said she didn't mind if I smoked. I believed her.
Thank God my brother's is plastic. Pratt takes his woman with them so he can mend her wounds. But Edwards does ask, you realize she's made of straw, right?
Oh, yes, sir. I figure that's why she burns so easy.
They get as far as they can go in the river, and now they have to scale the Rocky Mountains. But it starts snowing. Not to mention their food supply is getting low. Well, except for Pratt's.
Who is eating what remains of his straw woman.
No!
Apparently somebody does not believe in true love. And Edwards gets a small cold. Back then, a small cold could kill you. Shakina can make medicine that will help him, but she needs the egg of an eagle. The last animals they saw were way below the snow line, so Hunt has to climb down the mountain and find an eagle. And when he does... turns out they don't like it when you take their eggs. But later, Hunt gets hungry. So now he has to climb back up and get another egg.
Oh, dear God.
Real quick, let's go check on Edwards.
I saw a naked Indian woman.
Good for you. Now back to Hunt.
No!
Well, good. Instead of eating that egg, he's just gonna go hunting. And he finds a boar and uses it to make bacon. Really, dude? Yeah, be sad. That eagle has only one egg left.
Come on, you damn bird! Come and get me!
And this is why eagles are endangered, because their eggs are so tasty. I hear. This time, though, Hunt has the restraint to get the egg up the mountain. What the frick?
All I needed was a shell. Thank you.
That's gotta sting. Now, the medicine. It's working. After Edward's fever finally breaks and he wakes up, Shekinah tells him all about the bravery of Hunt, who went down the mountain to get an eagle egg.
Could have just brought back the shell, but nobody bothered to tell me that.
Would have been helpful. Edwards wants to express his feelings.
Don't be talking about no feelings. I don't want to have to punch you.
Oh, Hunt.
I'm serious.
Mayon! Once they get down the mountain, they all build canoes and head down another river. Just then, they see Lewis and Clark. They are portaging, and Edwards thinks that this is the perfect moment to overtake them. But Hunt thinks that they should all start portaging too, because the waters are getting dangerous. But Edwards assures him it's fine. At least until... But of course this is a movie, so everyone lives. But even though they're alive, Hunt is angry.
You almost got us killed just so you could be famous.
But hey, at least you're dry. All the men are ready to leave Edwards and go home with Hunt as well. At least until Bidwell speaks up.
We should continue to the Pacific.
Really? Because you've had it the worst. You lost your leg and your ear.
The worst is over!
And now you've been shot!
Perhaps I spoke too soon, but now shoot!
Who's doing the shooting?
You wait there! We'll be down in a moment to capture you!
Hidalgo! Hidalgo decides the way he's going to kill Edwards and Hunt is by making him run the gauntlet. And then... Corn?
Whose idea was the corn?
You bastard! Because of the last stage being corn, Edwards and Hunt are able to escape, and they encounter a native who is willing to help. But they need more than just him, and they also need men...
Perhaps men a bit younger than yourself.
But when they meet the other braves...
Running Puma is 2 years younger.
Not what they meant, but they'll have to make do with what they got. But just to be safe, Edwards tries to bluff Hidalgo.
You are surrounded by an army of Indian braves.
But Hidalgo calls his bluff.
I am one of these braves.
And I am one of these braves.
As ridiculous as it may seem, though, it turns out... As Hunt and Edwards' men are finally getting the upper hand...
And you thought I couldn't escape you, huh?
Fontenot turns coat. Again.
Oh.
But Hunt says no. But Hidalgo has one more thing up his sleeve.
Look what I have! Your woman!
Edwards catches up to Hidalgo. And they fight! Well, that explains why he's so obsessed with his hair. Is that a girdle?
There's just a bald, fat man begging for your mercy.
But just as Edwards is about to do him in, The rest of the expedition runs up.
We've just seen Lewis and Clark. They're a mile away and they're headed for the ocean.
You also got dressed.
This business with my wig, it's just between you and me, huh?
Yeah, he just gets away. They all make it to the Pacific first. They've won.
Not yet, we haven't. They're gonna get to the ocean before us.
The only way they can get there before Lewis and Clark is to go down the cliff. And Edwards insists that he goes down instead of Hunt.
Then this is for your own damn good. Punch was supposed to knock you out.
So Hunt grabs a big rock. That should do the trick.
What the hell are you doing? Go! He's gonna go.
Good call. While Hunt is climbing down...
Oh, no.
Of all the darn luck, the eagle takes Hunt way out.
Oh, God!
Okay, some of you right now are going like, oh, that's impossible. An eagle can only lift 4 to 8 pounds. It's a frickin' movie. But eventually the eagle drops him. But it's okay. And he plants the flag, making them the first.
You did it! We all did it!
Yay! Wait a second. How'd you guys get down there so fast?
We found an Indian trail.
But the important thing...
You're too late! We beat you!
...is that they've won. But instead of going home to report this, they decide they're going to continue on exploring the whole world.
Edwards and Hunt, first Americans to walk to Europe.
So there you have it. That's Almost Heroes. A great comedy that sadly did not get the play it deserved. This movie did tank very badly. It had a $30 million budget and did about $6.1 million in the box office. And honestly, even now, it has a very small cult following, but I doubt they've made their $30 million back. See, this movie was ripped to shreds by the critics, and because of this, a lot of people didn't go see the movie. In fact, even today on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a very small rating, but this is why I say screw Rotten Tomatoes. Because the truth is, among non-critics who've seen this movie, more than half of them love this movie. Which is why I constantly say, people, screw the freaking critics! The critics are a bunch of people who talk about movies, despite the fact that they clearly don't even like movies. This was Chris Farley's last official film. It was the last thing he filmed, but Dirty Work came out after this movie. However, Dirty Work he only had a small part in, so this was his last movie. Deal with it. A lot of critics said that he and Matthew Perry didn't have any chemistry. I highly disagree. I think him and Matthew Perry had amazing chemistry. Matthew Perry playing the straight-laced, effete snob dandy of Leslie Edwards, and he did it perfectly. And Hunt, of course, playing the tracker, outdoorsy, man's man, Neanderthal, which again, he did perfect. In fact, whereas I like the title Almost Heroes, their original title was Edwards and Hunt, which I thought would have been perfect too. The original writer of the script, though, wanted Hugh Laurie to play the part of Leslie Edwards. However, the studio wanted somebody a little bit more recognizable, because you gotta remember, this is way before House ever came out. In fact, at the time, Hugh Laurie was really only known in the UK. So based on that, they did offer the part to Hugh Grant and Bill Murray, but both of them turned it down. Matthew Perry was the first one to say, yeah, I'll do it. Which I'm glad, because I don't think Hugh Grant could have done very well. Definitely don't think Bill Murray would have done a good job playing Leslie Edwards. Maybe Hunt, but nobody could have done better than Chris Farley. Hugh Laurie might have been good, but I think it worked out for the best. Now again, some people would criticize that considering it didn't do very well at all, but the people who actually watched this movie and weren't bribed on giving it a review love this movie. It's really good, a really underrated comedy. And honestly, to me, it's kind of ironic that John Candy and Chris Farley, both big, funny men, played very similar roles in Western comedies, both of which tanked. Both of which the critics have ripped apart, and both of which the fans actually liked. But the problem with that is critics do have an impact on whether or not the movie gets seen very much. Because when the criticism gets out there, the studios put less investments in the movie. Studios, stop listening to the critics. They don't like movies any more than you do. Listen to people who like movies. This movie should have done much, much better. In fact, of fan reviews, I think the best one I saw summed it up perfectly. It said, if you don't understand that this movie is supposed to be ridiculous and nonsensical, you won't like it. If you do, you'll love it. Well, here's the thing. Even in 1998, when I was about 14, 15 years old, and I did understand that this movie was supposed to be ridiculous, and I did understand that this movie was supposed to be nonsensical, I loved it, because I took it for what it was. Which is something I would really encourage people. Stop overanalyzing movies. Take them for what they are. This was a funny, ridiculous comedy of errors, played with two very great actors and a very great supporting cast. So based on that, I would love it if this movie got a bigger cult following like it deserves, make back its money, and then some, and be remembered as a great comedy like it should be. So if you haven't yet, I highly recommend you go check out Almost Heroes. So there you have it, that's my movie review this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notifications for when I post new videos, and leave a comment. If you've seen Almost Heroes, tell me what you thought of Almost Heroes. Love you guys.